This is another flag story. I figured
Ugh.
it's Remembrance Day was yesterday. For those who didn't follow the drama, I guess Justin Trudeau came out saying that flags across Canada are going to be at half mast indefinitely until reconciliation happens. And then all of a sudden, so then this angered Rebel News. So we've already watched a video of theirs, this big, like, dramatic video that they put on, being like, Remembrance Day is coming up. And since Remembrance Day is coming up, those flags need to be fully erect. They need to be fully erect in order to support our troops. And if they're not, then they're not supporting our troops. They're like limp and effeminate, and therefore not troop supporting enough. And so we watched that video, and I guess in the interim between that, and then they also like started a petition that was called "Raise Our Flag" or some stupid thing like this. And then in the interim, what happened was Trudeau came out saying that they were going to raise the flag. So I guess this means we've achieved reconciliation. Congratulations, everyone! We did it. We achieved reconciliation. Flags are now at full mast again. That being said, it was right in time for Remembrance Day. Even though I will say, I mean, I didn't study enough about Remembrance Day, but like, did we? Was there like a need for flags to be at full mast on Remembrance Day? Or I recall other Remembrance Days. Wouldn't you lower it to half mast? Because it's like, even that is like a way to symbolize
Yeah.
sadness for the troops that have died, or like, I don't understand. What is the magical properties of the flag such that its degree of mastness has the appropriate effect? You know.
I mean, we have touched on the horniness of the flag before.
Well, I mean, it's clear
But I
that
also think it's
everyone needs to
important
have
to
sex
keep
with
in
the flag,
mind
especially
that
the horny
every
ones.
time the flag is down a little bit, everybody's real sad. That is why seasonal affective disorder happens.
It's a
It's
chub.
why depression happens. It's why everything bad that has ever happened in the world ever happens is moments when the flag goes to half mast.
Oh, it's
So
soft.
we need to, for the troops, we need to we need to make them sad. And then we need to make them like happy and horny and whatever else again by making the flag go up. Because everybody knows flag go up means good, horny, happy, good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did say after the last show that we gave troops permission to have sex with the flag. So, I mean, yesterday was the troops' day, so I hope people got to be intimate with their flags yesterday. You know, I really hope so. That was your day
I
to do it. So,
hope they were really sad.
like after,
No,
it was
just
like
always,
it
the
was
whole time.
it was a post nut come down.
It's cuddle time with flag.
I laid down with my maple leaf while the wife was napping.
Oh,
All right, okay. So,
I just have, before we start, I do want to ask two things. Um, Muta, has baby happened yet? And Viking, did you see anything about Remembrance Day, like in your just day-to-day existence yesterday?
I mean, I didn't like. There was supposed to be well, it was kind of a long story with local stuff, I guess, but there wasn't any of the usual stuff. Like as far as or I guess ceremony, but a couple of legions did their thing, I think, and then whatever
I
stuff you hear on the
mean,
radio. I don't know, nothing big.
I mean more in the sense of like in your like physical actual existence. Did Remembrance Day affect you at all?
Oh no, I went to work and no, nothing really big happened.
Was there a mandatory moment of silence?
No, we weren't forced to, I guess, but I guess we're like at work, you hear it on the radio, so I guess that counts.
Okay. So that was something that you processed. Because for me, it was literally like, oh, yeah, I guess we can put away the thing of poppies, and I think that's fucking it. Like
For me, since I
when
didn't
I
leave
went to
the house,
Shoppers after work, I saw the newspapers that had two things with poppies on them, and that was it.
I didn't leave the house at all. So I literally, I just remembered clicking on something having to do with Rebel, and it showed that they were doing a Remembrance Day piece, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's Remembrance Day, and that was like at 5 at night. So
Yeah, like that's the thing about all of this bullshit, right? Like it is about something that literally like is just like a nothing thing. Like it's not
It
like
also
it's
like it also depends, like at least my experience, it depends on like what city you're in necessarily, because like where I'm at, it's not really a big thing because we're not too there's not, I guess, as a general population thing, there's not too many people who do serve as far as I know, like as far as like what the stats are. But it's also like it's you go more closer to Ottawa, you get more people who serve there and all that, just because of like bases or like all that stuff, all those fun details. But yeah.
yeah, it's
my
oh sorry, you can go on, Ian.
my mom's side is a fucking military family. Like
Well then,
and again, fucking nothing, right? Like
yeah, that's the thing too. Is like it depends what like how your family handles it too. But as far as like my observations, like Canada, we don't really like jerk off to like the military as hard as like people in the States over that too. Like we do the whole like thanks for serving thing, but like we don't be like, oh, you're a hero just because you serve. It's like, yeah, okay, sometimes it was shitty, sometimes you did just clerical work, sometimes you actually did like combat, but it's kind of like more benign, I guess. It's kind of weird.
Well, the first two world wars are like wrapped up in our sort of like national myth making,
Oh yeah, that
especially
too.
as
Yeah,
like Canadians coming on the scene. But like, I feel like because we don't have that additional sort of like troop worship aspect in this country as much, that like I don't know, like I just feel like the Remembered Stages feels like a World War II thing now because most
yeah,
of the
pretty
World War
much.
One people have already passed away, and then beyond that, it's like I think a lot of people are just completely disillusioned with it. Where it's like World War II was supposed to be the world, like the war that ended war, and like it's still going, and we still went to Afghanistan, etc. Right?
Yeah,
And so it's just like this level of like I think, and the fact that we have a volunteer army where it's like no one has to deploy when like they say go. That there's like an element
yeah,
of like
I mean,
you signed up for it, so it's like I don't know, like that seems less heroism and more like taking a job, you know?
yeah. It's like I mentioned too.
another like big thing also is like we don't fucking acknowledge what wars we're currently involved in.
Oh,
We're
that
just
too.
like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, we're not in Afghanistan anymore. Like we went to Libya, we have like troops in Africa, in
Yeah.
Iraq right now, like just like fucking all over. And like Ukraine and like we're training the Nazis there, as we do.
yeah,
But like there is no understanding of the Canadian military as it currently exists.
Yeah.
Like every couple of months, there's a like sexual abuse scandal. Every few months, it's like, oh wow, we're training some far right fascists somewhere in the world,
whoopsie.
and yeah, and every once in a while, it's like, oh whoops, one of the troops went Nazi when they went home and did like either oh they did a murder spree or oh they're
They went to the States.
in the U.S. training Nazis. Like it's but like there is no actual acknowledgement of what the Canadian military exists to do nowadays, which is like prop up
Yeah, it's more like a job.
capitalism and mining companies. Like
Yeah.
there isn't any like introspection in terms of like what goals or purpose the military serves. I mean, also like I should add, invading Quebec every once in a while, and like, you know, invading an indigenous nation in Quebec, sometimes an indigenous nation in
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
BC, like, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But like,
That's only because Quebec,
you know, there is no
had
actual thoughts.
Papa Trudeau, and then he was just.
Yeah, God.
But yes, I like. Our yeah, our it's there's no reason like I don't know, and I hate like there's some people I meet that just that do have that sort of like troop worship thing even in Canada, and it's just like why? Like I do the one thing, and there's going to be a little touch of this in here. It's like I can understand if like uh we refuse to like help pay for like medications and stuff like this for troops who like suffer from PTSD and other stuff, that maybe if we're going to send people into conflict zones as a country, that we should give them the benefits in order to live healthier lives when they return, you know? And the fact that the government is, I know, fighting a bunch of lawsuits against veterans because they don't want to give out that money is a little bit let's say shitty of the government, even though I'm not like pro militarism, you know?
Spending money to not spend money.
Yeah. So I mean like there's shit like that where like I can support the troops conditionally and that like that's shitty that that happened to them. But at the same time it's like I don't know, it would be one thing if we had I can't even think of like what to call it. I know there's like a name for it, but like you know what I mean? Like if they were trained to like put out forest fires, like that's what they did.
But yeah, like an emergency response service.
Yes.
Yeah, like the military has been used as that. Obviously, like obvious like examples in the past too. Of like it's not something that doesn't happen, but it's not something that exactly happens on a well, maybe not necessarily day to day, but like is the right word because there's activity in general over the country, but it's not big news, I guess necessarily.
And it's also not their like primary function.
That too.
Everything that you do, Muta, is because soldiers died specifically for you to do it. And yeah, so Muta says her baby's due on Sunday, and gave a nice story about their congregation telling them that he should feel lucky that soldiers died for their freedom to have the baby. True.
Every troop that got off of a boat, stepped into Korea, and blew themselves up on a landmine, that was for your baby, Muta.
Every time I clean the poop off my baby's butt, I'm just like, you know, thank God for the troops dying for this freedom. This is. I feel so free.
Every 16-year-old that got sent into the trenches in Belgium, that kid died for your kid.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I hate people.
But yeah, like, my whole point, like, in getting into all of that, which was very, like, much getting sidetracked, was, like, nobody really gives a shit. And, like it's less that, like, people, like, that there aren't Remembrance Day ceremonies and whatever. It's more just, like, it is a kind of, like, obviously vapid symbolism that most people aren't into, and, like, nobody gives a shit about the fucking flag, and yet Rebel is just, like, so obsessed with it. Like,
if maybe take a bit of a like quick analysis of it.
Go for it.
It's something like it's because like World War II was like our biggest like military like event and like I guess like excursion. It's one of those things where it's like it's basically gone into story or myth or just like general narrative where no one in like the very few people who are veterans or even survivors from whether ends of like end of World War II, it's something that's like it's hard to like bring that story as a like this happened like yesterday type of thing. It's like no, this thing happened like generations ago, and so it doesn't quite have that same like striking chord. But like the people who are like rebel supporters or viewers, they'll end up doing this like they subscribe to the myth of like our grandiosity
because they're closer to it, right? Like think about their age demographic probably skews higher.
there would be some of that playing into it for sure, but also it's a case of like even if it's not necessarily that older generation, it's the generation that was brought up by them reading this myth almost to like a religious point.
No, I mean, like, if your parents are the ones that are perpetuating that myth to you, it has a lot of a stronger pull to it, you know. They were the greatest generation that like fought for you to have the life that you have. That they then like blew it on you, destroyed the environment.
Yeah, you saw that too. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I mean, the segue into this video is like they're so obsessed with this flag thing. So they have the petition. The premise of this video is they're bringing the petition to somewhere. I can't even remember where they're bringing it. I think they're in Ottawa, so maybe they're bringing it. It's David Menzies, and he's going to interview a veteran, and then he's going to be bringing the petition to Parliament. Okay.
It's also, sorry, yeah, just a quick thing too. It's like it's kind of like going with like fascist narrative. There's a lot of mythologizing the past and history and all that too, and this is kind of obviously rebels like tie into that.
Oh, and there's a veteran here, and I think some of that's going to play into it with some of what the veteran ends up saying.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I mean, like not strongly, but like the hints are there. You know? But the thing that like strikes me is like they're delivering this petition requesting that the government raise the flag, knowing full well that the flags have already
been put up full mast. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So the title of the video is Canadian flag finally flying high, but why did it take so long? And they're delivering a petition telling the government to raise the flag.
Oh my god. Can you raise it higher? Please make that flagpole higher. Yeah. Maybe that's what they should petition for instead. That'd be a lot better.
Yeah. So here we go. Fun preamble, but now we get the whatever this is. Here we go.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Ottawa. Well, folks, I'm at the glorious National War Memorial, and take a look around. It's the day before Remembrance Day, and lo and behold, the flags mercifully have been raised to full staff. And that is indeed the reason for my visit here. Perhaps the Justin Trudeau Liberals knew we were on our way. We've been advertising it. It was to deliver our petition, raise our flag. You know,
that's right. Justin Trudeau personally knew they were coming and like went out there and raised the flags.
Jerk off motion.
God damn it.
Back in the spring, that's when the flags were originally lowered to have staff, and there was perverse irony to it, wasn't there? As my colleague Adam Seuss has pointed out, these flags were lowered by the same politicians who are basically doing nothing to advance Indigenous affairs. We still...
I love.
Oh my God! What
argument? Put this. Just put on the hat for a second and think through this argument, because they did this in the last video too, which is that they raised the flags to half-mast in order and a symbol for reconciliation, and then they go, well, you see, we're still not doing anything to actually help Indigenous people, so merely lowering it to half-mast is purely symbolic, and it's just a stupid pandering, and it should stop. Okay? And it's like, okay, I agree with you. But then their next move is, and that's why we need to raise it to support the troops, because if it's not raised to support the troops will cry in their sleep.
This is such a long-winded whataboutism.
Right? It's like, if it's all pure symbology, then it's all purely symbolic. And why do you need a fucking petition? Just who cares?
The petition is symbolic, duh.
It's like, and they're going to talk about veterans issues, and it's like, okay, then why didn't you have a petition for the veterans issues? Fucking Parliament Hill.
So convoluted.
It's so stupid. It's like, we really care about all the issues, and the government is just doing symbolic stuff. Okay, well then why don't you get mad at the issues? Instead, you're focusing on all the symbolic shit. I love these people.
They'll have dirty drinking water on so many reserves. So was this all virtue signaling? Yeah. Well, it was outrageous. It's been half a year that these flags have been down. Do you know they've been down for a longer period of time than all the dignitaries honored in the past century? Can you imagine?
Jesus fucking Christ, Menzies.
Who cares?
Oh,
Who cares? Oh my
holy
God.
jeez.
Somebody
He went there.
crunched that number. Somebody was just like, how many people have we lowered the flag for? And then like,
It's like yeah, like how many people died in World War One? How many Canadians died in every military conflict? If you want to like consider even prior to the formation of Canada, like the colonial time, like you could, those are numbers you get estimates of, but you could get a round number. And it's like, cool. So what? What does that get you?
Do you even think that's true? I feel like even in my lifetime, there's been way more days of flags being lowered that there's no way that the last couple months when it's been at half mast that this has like outdone.
Oh yeah, no, and like
centuries
just like any of our lifetimes, it's been like, if you want to count the consecutive time it's been lowered half mast, more, it's been longer than for this reason. Like,
yeah.
ugh.
I mean, not that it matters. It's all symbology, but it's just like it's weird that he brings this up as if it means something.
Yeah, that's true. I gotta take my mind out of understanding or like agreeing to his logic.
You may have noticed I'm standing next to Chris Semchuck. He is a veteran, and I think Chris has a word or two to say about these flags being lowered for so long. Chris, what did you make of it? Was this truly meaningful? Because when I look at it, it just seems like so much virtue signaling to me, given that nothing really tangibly is happening on the reserves as far as I can tell.
It's virtue signaling. And our humble prime minister, at least he did submit and bring them up before. And thanks for the petition, which I signed as well. It's all for naught. This government's smoke and mirrors to me.
And you know, and
so you'll notice right out the gates that this person is not a very interesting interlocutor, and doesn't have much to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm getting kind of bored. I'm kind of like in my head critiquing the camera work,
virtue signaling, smoke and mirrors,
buzzwords. Throw it at the wall, see what sticks.
Speaking of our prime minister, I mean, I thought that was just insult to injury that on the first Truth and Reconciliation Day holiday, September 30th, which he brought to fruition, and we now have a Inuit Governor General, instead of doing anything meaningful to mark that occasion, he buggered off to Tofino to go surfing. What do you make of that?
I guess he was honoring the Haida Gwaii while he was there on his surfboard, at least.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy, I call it the Librano 3 H's doctrine of hype, hubris, and hypocrisy. And it seems
he's
like
got that book.
Librano?
So I love it.
So like
paid promotion.
Yeah. A deep reference to
Rebel?
Something that, yeah.
Yeah, that Rebel book. What was that? The 2019 election?
Yeah,
that was a couple of years. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, don't you know more?
He's still fighting those fines in court.
Oh my god! How much was that again?
I think it totaled 3,000 because it was 1,500, I think, for the book and 1,500 for the lawn. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so the fine is 3,000?
Yeah, in total, because it was 1,500 for the book and then 1,500 for the lawn sign.
Okay. All right. Ezra, pay more for lawyer fees instead of
No, he's paid way more than the fine actually is because he wants to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. He's been pretty clear about that.
He's gonna lose so hard, and he's not gonna spend a dime because it's all gonna be supporters' money.
I know. I think we've talked about this before, but I'm thinking that he wants a case that overturns our electoral spending laws, much like Citizens United did in the States.
Yeah, good luck with that, Ezra.
Yeah, but it's possible that he's getting funding from other like conservative think tanks that also want to do that. So that could be why.
I'd probably put money on that one.
Yeah. Wait, what? Someone catch me up. This is a veteran, and it's on Remembrance Day, or before Remembrance Day. I think it's the day before, and they have a petition to tell the government to raise the flag, even though the flags have already been risen. That's what we're watching. So Libranos was the name of a book that Ezra Levant wrote in the 2019 election, And the title page, I guess I'll show it. It makes the liberal government look like a Sopranos cast.
Yeah, it was like font choice and like black and white. Like just the whole motive of the book's cover was like Sopranos. Yeah, there we go.
There you go, Sopranos by Ezra Levant. So
I didn't get the gun in there.
But who else? I guess we got Freeland, McKenna, Morneau. Anyways, I know who this guy used to be a CTV person, but like was a member. I think he was the Indigenous minister for a while.
It's been a while, so yeah.
That's the reference that this dude made. So he's speaking in talking points, but is specifically speaking in Rebel talking points.
Spades.
Boss Ezra Levant will love that.
Sorry, I'm judging this book by its cover. Yeah.
It seems like our current prime minister has that in spades.
Well, my boss Ezra Levant will love that. He, I think, coined the Lebranos nickname, and I wonder if.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there. No, I'm like no. There. He got paid to say that. This is paid promotion. I can't see it any other way.
Yeah, either that or it's like they were like, we need a veteran who listens to us, and then this guy shows up.
It wasn't paid. It was like, here, can you like say this line or like reference this? Please do.
Yeah.
No, I think he's just like a super fan, and he looks like bashful because he realizes that his reference was like so obvious. Like he's just like a nerdy little fanboy.
It's hard to tell how this dynamic works in this situation though. Like listening to Alex Jones, whenever Alex Jones gets callers, they always like promote like his products before like they answer the question or whatever, or like ask the question. So I wonder if there's like a dynamic here where he's like, I'll butter them up by like saying the things and mentioning the things that they sell, kind of thing. I don't know. There could be an element of there, but it's maybe this is not the appropriate venue because you're just talking to David Menzies, right? But I do feel like he's just a super.
Trudeau will make the ultimate sacrifice tomorrow. That is actually showing up to a Remembrance Day ceremony as opposed to going surfing on some beach somewhere. We'll find out. But Chris, tell us a little bit about your story.
So my story is I was a veteran of the Air Force for 20 years. I served. I joined in 1997, and then I got medically released formally at the end of the process, completely finished. It started because I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2015. And through the release process, I got my final date of military service was January 6, 2016. So since then, as a veteran, as any service member, you don't want to give up service. It's in our blood. You're a veteran.
It's in your blood. I will say I'm not,
like
I hope he gets his treatment is all I'll say about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In your blood, like the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah.
I just love this, like, essentializing, like, people are born troops. They come out of the womb already wearing a uniform. This one's going to be a soldier.
I get to, like, not necessarily, like, get behind the, like, I'll be, like, with the family troops or whatever, but, like, I can understand, like, if your family's been in a particular line of work, whether it's military or any other job for that matter, it's something that's, like, yeah, you could have some sort of family pride to that, and I could see that as something that's more and possible for this guy, so it's, like, cool, okay.
And I know, like, people, like, use loose speak there. Like, bloodline probably just means, like, my family was in the military. Like,
yeah. Oh no, that's even that's something that's common enough in Canada too. It's like you got like 3 generations of people who like served in various degrees or worked in a certain line of job.
But there is still like a way in which that, like, I guess in philosophy speak, like reifies things where it becomes a thing. Like we really do have like true blood. But Muta does point out this dude has an epic stash. So there you go. Epic stash indeed. I do like this the lamb chops going on here too as well.
That's pretty solid. Solid mutton chops.
So I fell into I started a YouTube channel on September 11th, 2019.
Oh my God!
When,
plug,
Trudeau
baby,
dropped
plug.
the writ on
September 11th,
which was a slap in the face.
Wait, what? wait a minute. I'm fogging out here, but I don't recall him being in office at that. Well, not in prime minister.
No, September 29th, he was prime minister. So September 11th, 2019. We mentioned this on the podcast recently too. So
I'm bad for my time. Okay, sorry.
They had this guy. I don't know if we posted. I can't remember if it's when we posted or it's about to be posted. We're way behind, but that's a whole other story. Point being, there was this guy Lee Humphreys who was on the podcast, and he said the exact same thing, and we laughed about it while doing the show. And I thought that was like a one-off thing. That was the first time I've ever heard that brought up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he did drop the writ on September 11th, 2019. Why does that matter? Like, why should we care?" And then this guy fucking brought it up. I wonder if he got it from listening to Lee Humphreys on the podcast, or if he like also just like, oh my God, how I mean, like, I love this. Like, think about their worldview, because like what it means is September 11th happened, and therefore you can never do anything on September 11th ever again.
Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought I was spacing out the year that he's referring to, and it's like that was, you said 2019 or and it's like, wait, did he just like reference 2001 instead? Like what?
No.
I dumbed out.
No, that's okay, but like think about the logic of what this means. That means any day that something happens.
It's like we can't do this on else. D-Day, we can't do anything that day special other than that. Nope, it's just that.
I can't fucking like, and it's a slap in the face. How are you
supposed to get things done if you? Yeah, how are you supposed to get things done in office if you're like certain days are like so or like so sacred you can't do anything legal or political on that day? Like it renders everything impossible.
It's
certain days of things that happened in other countries.
Yeah. Like it's okay. Yeah, we could.
I know that's another part, because it's like things that could happen all around the world. It's not constrained to Canada.
We can't do anything on September 11th, not because of the 2001 thing, and that was actually a violation on Al Qaeda's part, because of 1973 when Allende got killed in Chile.
No, it'll be like completely random things. Like we can't call an election on August 5th, 2000, because on August 5th, 2010 is when there was the Chilean mining accident.
Oh my God.
That lasted 69
we
days.
Can't do...
You can't even do it for the duration of those 69 days past the initial August 5th.
Oh my God.
Or
365 days out of the year. So those is about 60 days of that year's completely like you can't do nothing. It's truth.
I got it.
The Chilean miners were still down there.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I cannot go to court because of the Chilean. Like, oh,
in honor,
I observe this day, the 60-day period.
I personally mine cobalt for a living, and this is a slap to the face.
How
dare you? How dare you call an election during those 69-day windows? Oh my God!
Nothing political can happen. Because nothing political can happen on December 5th because it's my birthday.
Yeah, I was thinking too. Like, how many times does like Ezra complain to like Trudeau's like there, or even not say Trudeau, but like anytime that like a PM has like prorogued Parliament, so it's like nothing's done in that time period that like Parliament's out of session. So it's like. So what happens when it's like a sacred day of like September 11th, or the example of Chilean mine for like 60 days for Ezra? Like what kind of like where does he draw this line of like arbitrariness?
No, that's why I was like, and the reason why I chose the mining thing is because it's completely fucking arbitrary.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm trying.
I heard about the mining thing like recently, and so I was like that. But it's like it's just amazing. Like even the notion that it's a slap in the face is just so fucking weird that you like. It's like. What we had like one of our podcast episodes. What was it? It was something like we can be heroes, but just for one day, and that day is 9/11. and I can't remember like what was the context. It was something like Ezra was in his mood criticizing the police, and he's like, I want to hate the police because they're doing all these terrible things to us, like kicking us out of restaurants for not wearing masks and stuff like this. So the police are now evil, right? And he goes, but the one thing that's like allows me to stay in line to loving the police is that they were there on 9/11.
Oh my god! Of all the things, like, for all the reasons to bootlick, I'm sorry.
It's they have a weird obsession with 9/11 that reaches like peak absurdity.
That's kind of interesting too. Like, I don't think Ezra necessarily does that, but it's obviously part of his, like, he's got to look that part.
No, Ezra definitely
Like, that's
does.
his audience.
But he's a raging Islamophobe. I mean, his whole
That's fair. Yeah, I
his
didn't.
whole
Yeah, sorry.
thing emanates from that. Like, anyways, and we're gonna get some of it in this video. We should just keep watching.
Oh
no. To raise awareness about veterans issues and in support of the People's Party Veterans platform or policy plank.
There you go.
Because it's exactly what veterans need to have happen. We've been marginalized for far too long.
And Chris, what is the name of that YouTube channel?
If you look up...
pass.
Oh, plug.
But you were going to say something, Vito?
Oh no, I was just making a oof.
I thought someone said something.
About...
I skipped over the plug, I think. So we'll
And veteran, you are an Afghanistan veteran out there. What do you make, going back to September when the election was called? That was when we and the United States abandoned our allies, our interpreters and their families, in some cases even citizens. It makes you wonder, now that the Taliban is back in charge in Afghanistan and literally, hanging people in the streets of Kabul. Do you ever wonder why we even went there in the first place?
This is why you say it like that. Yeah, wow.
I even like him asking this question. I'm like, he already said he had PTSD, and he is like a veteran of that war. And I'm just like, the way
that's a dick move.
That is an intense question to ask someone who suffers from PTSD over that. Just a little bit.
A dick move of a question, really.
That being said, like, I mean, we don't have to relitigate all the Afghanistan stuff, but I just want to like point out, like, yeah, what was the point? Why were we there? Why did we do this? It was for no fucking reason other than to bolster a military-industrial complex, and that's basically it. So yeah, I mean, like, why don't you answer that question yourself, David? Because I don't think you and your Rebel News colleagues have ever reflected on that question like
Never stop wondering about it. That's part of the PTSD. It was a real slap in the face to our allies, to the Afghans that we helped, the Afghans that helped us to pull out in the manner that we did. Disgraceful, in my humble opinion.
And so unavoidable. This was a preventable tragedy. We could have done, we could have been airlifting people out of there months before we announced we were leaving. What do you think is the reason for that? Why did we abandon our allies? At least, why did the Justin Trudeau Liberals abandon them?
Well, it's the New World Order from Trudeau since 15.
This is the part, like, he says a bunch of stuff here that I found it, like, kind of quasi-incoherent, but just, like, rattling things off. So I'm going to, like, play it again so we can hear it in context. But, like, also just, like, I don't know, like, I love David Menzies' fucking leading questions. His questions are like long screeds of like, here's everything that I agree with. Now agree with me.
If you were interviewing me, I would lose track so hard. It's like, can you repeat that slower or like less words?
Yeah, and it's like there's elements in here in which I did. This is one topic that I might actually agree with Menzies. But he covered like a protest during the election out in front of one of the Liberal MP's offices, who I think was the Minister of I can't remember, Minister of Immigration, maybe. and the idea was like we need to take more Afghanistan refugees, and David Menzies was supporting that. So small nod towards David Menzies for being right on this issue, and I do think that Trudeau should have done more, provided more resources, etc. So like, sure. I mean, I still think that David Menzies is a piece of shit, but sure.
But sure. Yeah, sorry. It works the rebels' favor to either not support the Afghans or not Afghan, I guess. Yeah, like not to support any refugees, but also to like if they do support refugees, it's like you could bitch at Trudeau for spending money on refugees. Like they get you coming and going.
But it's weird the coverage that David does. David seems supportive. The coverage of Ezra, he does not seem supportive.
Nope.
He is like quasi supportive, but then is like, we need to screen them hardcore, and we need to make sure that they're just interpreters and like stuff like that.
Yeah, like we'll give them money, but only if they deserve it.
Where David was just like, we should bring in a whole, like he was opening the floodgates, like, hooray, let's let them all in kind of thing. So like, cool. I don't know how much of that was just in the moment when he was around those protesters.
Yeah.
But sure. But let's hear what this guy has to say. Why did Trudeau not do anything?
Allies, at least why did the Justin Trudeau Liberals abandon them?
Well, it's
I like that. Just sounds like a.
Yeah, that's a rough.
Liberals abandoned
like he's still
them.
thinking.
Yeah.
Well, it's the New World Order from Trudeau since 15. We're a post-nation state, as he called us, and so why stand up for anything other than their ideology?
You know.
Oh my God.
We're in a Trudeau in 2015 said we're a post-nation state, and therefore, he's going to stand up for that ideology.
Just word salad.
I get it now. Everything makes sense. Listen, if he was reading off a script, this would be a little bit more coherent, Corten. Come on.
I think you're onto something. Several years ago in Toronto, Prime Minister Trudeau said that he has a admiration for the basic type of dictatorship China is in terms of getting things done.
Oh,
there's a level of
they can never let that go.
Admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime.
And now, years later,
they play that clip once a week.
Let's even back up a second too. It's like if Rebel got their wish and they got whoever they wanted in office, they would want that to be done. Like they would want that exact thing to be done instead of all these parties bickering against each other. No, they would just want one man do one thing their way.
It sounds like Trudeau is slamming China. There's an aspect in which I do read it as a criticism of China. If you actually read if you watch the greater context of that clip, what he's saying is he does it would be so much easier if he could at will just decide things. But then as the clip goes on, he's like, but we live in a democracy and we can't do that kind of thing. But
it's a double-edged critique of sure, they could do everything that they want real quick, but the downside of things don't get deliberated or it's
I still
it's the basic critique of.
I still think it does reflect negatively upon Trudeau in that it's he wishes he could do whatever he wants. That there's that base desire deep down inside to a certain extent, I mean, you might say there's a criticism there to be had or something. Either way.
It's funny because it's not I don't think that critique really holds up if you're oh well, we're a democracy, so blah 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 blah. It's no. China, Trudeau was talking about the economy there.
Yeah, it's a specific
Trudeau
thing.
has to be beholden to business interest, whereas the Chinese national economy is run by mostly nationalized industries. So it's more of a well, it sure would be nice if I could stand up to business interests.
Yeah.
I never read it that way before, but there's probably an element.
No.
Yeah.
It's
oh my God.
It's such a obviously it's like a deeper, nuanced critique, and like even like slight, like there's slight admiration in that end, but it's more critique if anything.
But it is they
at least that's how I read it.
They play it off as if what it is that Trudeau and Xi Jinping are like best friends
and strongmen.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Or two brave Michaels.
The two But it's also like, think about like how they shoehorned it into this conversation. Was it any relevant to anything that's being said here, other than he said, Trudeau 2015 ideology, and he's like, yeah, just
like what was the question again? I forget. This is what I mean. It's like I got so confused.
This guy said. He's like, this guy said Trudeau ideology, and he's like, oh yeah, the clip we play all the time.
New World Order.
Yeah.
Okay, we see you're not a fan of the Hulk. Okay, moving on.
Later, we have seen China emerge as the most dangerous bully on the world stage. How is it possible, Chris, to you, and you've served this country, standing up for our democracy, for our rights and freedoms? How is it possible we have...
That's right. If we didn't send troops to Afghanistan, we wouldn't have democracy here anymore. Nailed it.
Yeah, this is like it's like going back to like the military myth thing. It's like, yeah, at one point there was a time that like the world had big issues regarding like authoritarianism. It's like that thing is largely more or less past if you want to get into like the topic of like authoritarianism through money. But yeah, that's a different new
would have probably been okay with World War II because fascism actually bad.
That was all, yeah, again, but that's the other thing too, is like that was the biggest threat at the time too. It's like oh, this thing's coming up and it's rising into power, and it's also a big threat more than the other stuff. Well, then we have to shift gears. Let's go.
And so like in that case, you might say that it was like upholding some kind of like not fascist system. Like that was like the thrust of it. Or they're like the Afghanistan war literally was just a way to like
support,
invest in like weapon sales, you know. That was it.
Have a prime minister in the 21st century in a democratic Commonwealth country applauding China?
That's a big question, David, but general apathy in Canada to participate in the civics process and to actually understand what our country is and our history and heritage is. It's a shame our education system doesn't highlight that. So it leads to the state we have, where in 2015 we get a prime minister elected because he was somebody's son.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more reasons for that, but okay. Like he was a known political figure at the time, even before his dad. Like his dad, you could argue, yeah, he had his parental support and whatever. Anyways,
even like the like somehow we're not teaching our kids the heritage and culture in like our schools.
Oh my god, World War II and World War I were so hammered in like in history. Like that's like the basic thing. It's like Canada was founded in this date, and also World War I and World War II, and this is the rest of the semester.
And of course, because we already said it's like a part of our national myth. So like that was we learned more about that than about like Vimy Ridge was pounded into our fucking brains. Where it's like maybe we should have like had a little bit of more time on residential schools, for example, you know. But it's like this weird. It's like somehow the kids nowadays are not learning, and that's why they voted for Trudeau because like somehow he's related to dad or like.
Well, even that's or at least from my recollection, like even not even count like obviously like the genocide stuff and all that, but like even like the War of 1812, I don't even recall that being like taught. It's like that's something that was a pretty big like military event in our history too. Like that's one of the biggest. Like we fought our currently closest ally. That like
you want some Jody lore? I used to reenact the War of 1812.
Really?
Yep.
What?
I used to wear a red coat and I would march with my fake musket and we would do like large scale like war games in Fort York. Yep. I did it for several summers and it was amazing. Okay, so like we had to like hold them like, you know, as they did back then, and then even though like they weren't real guns, they were like They were literally like pieces of wood with like PVC pipe on them as like the barrel, but like painted black and like stained so it looks like semi nice. But then the idea was like you would put it down and then you'd have to go through the motions of like pulling out the ramrod, emptying your cartouche pouch, pouring the bullet in, and then like hitting the ramrod down, and then like put it up at the ready.
Packing the powder, yeah.
And they had like there was hundreds of young teens in this like performing this, and then they would have like referees. So it's like even though like we technically know the outcome, they had Americans come over and they would participate too, and then it would be like they would have refs like scoring the battles and stuff. And so in Fort York, which is like an actual fort near Niagara Falls, we would do it like in the actual fort and everything. Like it was kind of fun, you know.
What years did you do this?
Oh my god, I would have been like 14, 13 maybe, like around then. That feels right to me. I was a young teen.
And when did you stop doing it?
Oh, I only did it for like maybe 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So the timing doesn't work out that I would have seen you as a reenactor.
No. Well, yeah. But what was the other thing that was fun? Is why? Like, did you see some of that stuff?
Yeah, my family's from Niagara. Like,
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I did it for longer. I can't remember. This is going back to my past. I'd have to ask my mom. She's the one who signed me up for this shit. And but it was my favorite part is like they actually got you because like you're in your like regiments, right? And so like there's a bunch of the regiments all like marching. Like you've probably seen movies where like and we march in like the order or whatever. And if like the ref thinks that you've been shot enough by the opponent that you're like officially dead now, they'll come by and be like, die, and then we all go, ah. It's just
SGA rules.
That's so great. Joe, do you want to start being a War of 1812 reenactor?
Oh god, yeah, let's find it. No, and they made. I mean, we just had like normal tents, but like some people are like really into it and had like the old timey tent set up and shit like this. It was
yeah, they'd have the canvas.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun. I remember doing that, having fun. It's like a big war game, you know. It was kind of like a giant capture the flag, but like with like hundreds of people, and we're pretending to be in the 1800s. Anyways, long off track thing. It's just you mentioning the War of 1812 really jogged my memory. So in some sense,
how young can you sign your son up for that?
Too young. He's I don't even know if they still do it. Like, I mean, they probably don't do it now because of COVID. But like, I have no clue. I'd have to talk to my mom. I can't even remember how we got involved with it. I know it had something to do with the Scouts because I used to be a part of the Scouts too. But it wasn't officially tied to the Scouts. It was just I think someone within the Scouts brought this up to my mom. My mom was the Scout leader at the time, so like, I'm lucky in that regard because I did not get molested, which is a current or a common occurrence in the Scouts. So it's like, having my mom as the leader, I guess saved everyone else and me from that kind of stuff.
I was gonna say, I was kind of wondering if the group doing the reenactment in your area is also part of the same group that does the SCA over there. But anyways,
I don't know.
I might check into it.
Yeah. But let's continue. I can't even remember where we are on that. That hit me with some nostalgia vibes.
The Menzoid rambling on.
Culture. We don't teach your kids anymore. Yeah.
The Lucky DNA Club. And when it comes to the armed forces, when it comes to veterans, we have veterans such as yourself.
Lucky DNA Club? I think he's... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the
DNA Club.
So it leads to the state we have, where in 2015 we get a prime minister elected because he was somebody's son.
That's the
Lucky DNA Club. And when it comes to the armed forces, when it comes to veterans, we have veterans such as yourself suffering from PTSD. We have homeless veterans, if you can imagine, in our nation. And yet, remember, folks, back in Edmonton a few
we have homeless veterans, but like David Menzies has been on scene at all the camp evictions in Toronto. Criticizes them constantly, or criticizes the fact that they exist and is pro-police. So there you go. So
we care about the veteran. Yeah, we care about the veterans, especially the homeless ones. Also, we want the police to kick them out of our nice, pretty parks.
I'm gonna back it up a bit because Muta said, "If you can imagine what." I'm curious.
We have homeless veterans, if you can imagine, in our nation. And yet, remember, folks, back in Edmonton a few years when he got a question from a veteran at a town hall meeting and what Prime Minister Trudeau's answer was? Check it out.
Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared.
I mean, this is stuff that I just
to be killed in action.
Agree that the
what
government
I wasn't
should
prepared
not
for,
be
Mr. Prime
fighting
Minister,
these veterans in court.
Is Canada
this is easy agreement.
Yeah. His answer here, so fucking.
So which veteran was it that you were talking about?
I think I remember this
one. Why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they're asking for more than we are able to give right now.
Veterans are asking.
Ooh, bad answer. Bad answer.
They're asking for more than we're able to give.
God.
Very bad answer. Even like that's across the board. Like any group, it's gonna be like, yeah, no, you bow to whatever they want. A cheeseburger, you give them a cheeseburger. Like it's duh.
Well, it's the same like of them fighting Indigenous kids in court too, and like waiting to the last minute to file.
Oh God, yeah.
And just like,
it's just dumb legal moves.
Yeah. Which they're going to contrast it with something that gets kind of gross, but.
Blachuk, as he also said to him, thanks for your courage for speaking to me here today, which I thought was a real slap in the face to say to a soldier as well. That was another nail in that statement.
It is astonishing to me, Chris, because on one hand, he's saying you are asking as a veteran for too much. This is somebody that put their life on the line, and yet a year earlier, he had cut a check for $10.5 million to our homegrown Al-Qaeda terrorist, Omar Khadr, who took the life of one of our allies. Are we living on the bizarro Superman world?
Every fucking time. With
Omar. Always Omar. Always gotta bring him, yeah.
But even that, like, there is like one weird contrast that I'll put here, which is like, in their heads, if Omar is guilty, which I argue that he isn't, but if in their heads as they believe that he's guilty, I can see where it's like, in that case they settled, but they seem to throw money and lose things in these other cases, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I feel like the reason why it was easy for the government to settle, for one, for the same reason they shouldn't be fighting these other fights, they're spending more money than like the payouts would inevitably end up like being, but. So it's like, yeah, fighting the lawsuit, it's just easier to settle when, like, sure, okay? However, there's also just the moral thing, which is that he was tortured in Guantanamo for a crime that, like, the evidence is really shoddy. And it's not even clear that it would be a crime, because it was an active war scene. You know what I mean?
And also, like, yeah, like, he's a Canadian citizen that, like, he's a Canadian citizen, and in other countries, like, extrajudicial. Oh my god! Like,
I don't even think there's evidence that he was a member of Al Qaeda. I don't even know where the fuck that comes
like,
from.
Well, even at that time too, he was a minor. Like, so it's like 15. You kind of have to you have to try him as a minor. It's like if it's a case of like he's in another country's prison, whether or not it's on that country or not, it's that country's responsible for him, and he was tortured and. He was a minor at that time, and then extent like he wasn't a minor upon his release. So it's like so many layers of like just shit, like dealing with it. Not even counting the he should have been brought to Canada part.
But they had no. I mean, if you want to get like into the case, they have no evidence whatsoever that. So the accusation is that he threw a grenade, which like killed an American soldier, but like the Americans demolished the house that Omar Khadr was in.
Prior.
After the house had basically been blown to smithereens, and they walked in, they found Khadr was like one of the lone survivors and was like laying in a pool of his own blood and debris. And then because he was the lone survivor, they're like, he's the one who threw the grenade. Like they don't have like any like documentation that he was the one who tossed like the one thing that like. And it's quite possible that that grenade came from friendly fire, that it wasn't even thrown by anyone in the building. Like, it just gets to the point of like, it was so, because of that, and because he was 15 and was laying in this pile of debris, they then took him and sent him to the Guantanamo Bay prison facility in Cuba and tortured him. And then our government gave him $10 million, and we should be up in arms about that?
Like even like if I want to I played this before some other like conversations, but like even if you want to play kind of like maybe not necessarily devil's advocate, but like put it like agree to them that it was Omar that threw a grenade. Let's say in that situation he's defending himself. If you want to like kind of like put it to a certain situation because he's getting attacked as far as he can reasonably deduce.
Like, you know what I mean? If somebody's attacking you in a war zone, are you a terrorist then, or a soldier?
Oh yeah, it's like even by Americans, like just like civil standards or even military standards. Like if you're getting fired upon, do you have the right to fire back?
Yeah. Anyways, it's just annoying that it's something they constantly bring up. Like, oh my God, they did this, and it's like, yeah, I think they should have given him more. To be honest. I think like the fact that we at all, under the Harper government, allowed Canadians to be tortured by the American government is fucking
gross. We sure are, and in my humble opinion, I mean I'm no expert. That payout to Omar was because why would you want things to go through court? Because court will actually bring out some lessons learned and some truth of what actually went down vis-a-vis our government's interaction with it. So let's just write a check and bury it.
Bury what the Harper government did?
Yeah, it's like, are these guys forgetting the timeline or something? Like,
so like, who's the bad guy, Trudeau or Harper? And why would Trudeau cover up Harper's mistake?
Like, correct me if I'm wrong too. Like Trudeau, like for all the criticisms he's like had regarding any like after effects or aftermath of the Afghanistan issues, this is kind of something that he was like handed that he had no control over. So the best case, if I'm in his situation, it's like the best case is pay off Omar and like try to like move on.
No, and he was real. I think they sat him down and was like, here's what we're spending to fight this in court, and like made a monetary decision of like, is this worth fighting? No. So let's just settle and save money. That was the decision making.
Sorry.
I just think that that's it. And it's just amazing to these assholes because everything's got to be a conspiracy theory with Trudeau. But like, again, all of this was done under the Harper administration. The only difference is Trudeau came in and settled.
Had to be responsible about it, which is like the least you could do in his situation. Or even then too, it's like if you want to go on they want to be fiscally minded in this, it's like the best thing you could do is settle and hope it doesn't go high. Like hope he doesn't disagree to that settlement because like he could have went for way more than that.
Yeah. It's weird. The conspiracy brain. There it is. There you have it.
Yeah, it was astonishing. The official reason was that to fight this in court was going to cost us far more than $10.5 million. Isn't it funny, Chris? Suddenly the Justin Trudeau Liberals became fiscal conservatives overnight.
Yeah, it's rather fortuitous for them to find that reason, isn't it? So.
Well, Chris, we're going to go to the Prime Minister's office. I think you're going to accompany us. We are going to deliver our petition. I want to thank our viewers. More than 10,000 of you signed this signature, and the call to action was simply this: it is time to raise.
What was that? The paper?
I like how he has a stack of fucking paper with a clip.
That is because it's like, I think officially how you hand in petitions to the government, it needs to be on paper.
Oh, okay, but like, I'm saying like it has to be on camera is what they're using like a prop basically.
No, they are, and like we're gonna see more of it as the last little bit. But I love this again. Flag has already been risen.
Raise the Canadian flags across this country permanently Our veterans paid the ultimate price for our freedom, and they deserve to be honored every day, but especially on Remembrance Day. And even though the flags are up, we still want the Prime Minister to get the message that thousands of Canadians were upset and disgusted with this virtue signaling, especially given that he didn't even show up for Truth and Reconciliation Day on September 30th. He was too busy surfing. So let's go across the street and deliver this petition right now. Hi, sir. We're just... my name...
The fact that they're not aware of the contradiction of just like, oh, they did this symbology and they weren't even helping Indigenous people. But what we need to do is raise those fucking flags, or we're not
it's like,
honoring the troops.
we don't like the symbolism he did. That's why he should do a symbolism we want.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he already did it too.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god.
My name's David Menzies, Rebel
That's why
News.
we have
I'm
to
just
symbolically
here to...
hand in this symbolic petition.
Yeah.
Gotta put this paper on camera to symbolically represent this petition all you guys signed, even if it is signed. Like, oh my god, it's too
like,
convoluted.
David, just go take the flag home, have sex with it, and end this. Okay. We feel the tension.
Just love your flag. Just love your flag. It's all right. Just enjoy your love.
The symbology, all right?
Deliver a petition to the Prime Minister, and your colleague at the front door told me to come to number 11. Is this the correct place?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Oh, okay then. So
Great,
I can't get in, I guess, but I put it in a box. Is that how it works?
Well, you can put it in an envelope.
Oh, okay then. That's the thing. I don't have an envelope for. I could put it in a box.
David,
really?
I think he cut himself while shaving.
Oh.
Super scratch in his face. Anyways. Yes, he's got to put it in a box.
Okay, sure.
Okay then.
You could fit
There's another.
You can do what? Sorry.
You could fit that in an envelope. Like,
Yeah, like get like
Bring an
a
envelope, though. That's the thing.
dumbass.
petition in here, but it's not for you guys.
Okay.
We've been very busy. Okay.
Oh.
I love this. Like this. You can see all of this.
Why did they record this? Like, I know why.
The hand offering help.
Yeah, I know. I want to see.
Yeah,
the petition
off camera.
It said like fire police or something. Fire. Love that. He almost drops the fucking microphone. You can't see because of my head. I want to move myself because I think you all need to appreciate it. That's Damn it. What a clumsy person. I can't.
Or Menzies.
Can't make it out. I'm gonna do one more.
These self checkout. Yeah.
It's before the mic failure. Jesus, sorry about that, everyone.
Box.
Okay, sure.
Okay then.
Box. Let's go. Last time. We got it this time.
There's another petition in here, but it's not for you guys.
Not for them. Okay.
We've been
But
very
wait, there's
busy.
more.
Okay.
Fire the judge. Fire the judge.
Oh.
It's a judge. Okay, they're gonna fire a judge. I wonder if that has to do with
Do I need a postal code or anything, or?
Pavlovsky?
Okay. All right then. Thank you, sir. You have a good day.
There it goes.
All of that.
Well, there you go, folks. The package has been delivered. More than
That
10,000 of your signatures are on that petition.
That whole
Yeah,
thing
it's
just
for
for them to
the
stick
judge.
it in a hole. Yep.
So yeah, the judge thing is for the Pulaski thing.
Yep. All that staging just for them to dump a box in a hole. Yep.
Wow, they got okay. So
To raise a flag that's already been raised.
Sort of sidetracking, but for the Pulaski signature thing, the goal was 30,000. They got 27,058 signatures. So close.
Well, they only got 10,000 for the flag.
Aww.
And hopefully,
which is like, you know what that means? That means their audience cares way more about the COVID issues than they all care about
Flag, yeah.
the flag.
I guess it was a slow day for them on that issue.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Trudeau gets the message. Hopefully he actually receives it. We know he doesn't care for dissenting voices, but I want to thank all our viewers. I want to thank veteran Chris Semchuck for answering the call to raise these flags. It is so nice, isn't it, Chris, to see the flags at full staff at last?
It sure is. It sure is, as it should be.
For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.
God, that's just awkward.
As it should be.
This is like even like college reporting I've seen better done. Oh my God.
I hope he gets the message. Like, they're already raised the flag.
Sending, flags are... Mission's accomplished, boys. Go home.
It's so stupid.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.